Howdy, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another edition of the Alas album reviews. You guys seem to enjoy the last two editions of the Chili Peppers album reviews, so we thought we'd bring you back another one. Today we're looking at a band that's, again, extremely close to my heart, another big inspiration of mine, considering who I am and where I come from. This island, big island called Australia. Some of our American fans like my thick Vegemite accent. I appreciate it. I won't stop it for no one. But yeah, anyway, the band we're going to be looking at today is a little pub rock band, you might know about them, they're called INXS. Okay, yeah, you've definitely heard of them. Anyway, we're looking at an album that you probably haven't heard of, in terms of speaking about INXS. Now, when most people speak about INXS, they talk about albums like Listen Like Thieves, Kick, X, and generally that's it in terms of like mainstream INXS albums. But the album we're going to be looking at today is their very, very first album. It came out in 1980, on October the 3rd, 1980. So it came out sort of in, I guess, the middle of New Wave, maybe like the beginning of New Wave. I feel like New Wave was like the end of disco, sort of like the end of disco, but before like hair metal sort of really took on. Anyway, this album that we're looking at is their self-titled debut. It is entitled INXS, and I only own the cassette version of it. So this is an original 1980 pressing of this record, by, I believe this one's pressed by Deluxe Records. So it's an Australian pressing, to my knowledge, yes. Should be an Australian pressing, Deluxe. And that artwork, I believe, is Bondi Beach. Pretty cool. This record was released in October of 1980. It was recorded in 1979 to, the beginning of 1980. It was produced by Duncan Maguire. Duncan Maguire was a songwriter, recording producer, engineer. He was a founding member of the band Ayers Rock, and he's mainly sort of famous for his production on this very first INXS record. It was recorded at Trafalgar Studios in Annandale. That's on 74B Trafalgar Street in New South Wales. I actually drive past it quite a lot on my way to work, and I didn't know that until I researched it for this video, and kind of gives me a bit of goosebumps in a way, because, it's kind of cool recording and making music in the same place that those guys did and had so much fun in back in the 80s. But anyway, I digress. It was recorded at Trafalgar Studios, also known, I'm pretty sure, as Electric Avenue Studios in its later years. It wasn't knocked down, it was redeveloped into, from what I know today, it's now a duplex. So it was sold off around about the global financial crisis days, like 2008, 2009-ish. So yeah, I feel like it might have ran into some financial troubles, unfortunately. Being mainly a band recording studio, because most recording studios that are around nowadays, and most of the ones that I've been in, are really only just a vocal booth and a place to put a laptop, and that's it. There's no room for drums, there's no room for anything else. Most of those studios in Sydney, they've died. I know they used to be all over the place, but unfortunately, yeah, most of them have all died out. There used to be a lot of places where a lot of these classic rock and roll records that we love in Australian culture were recorded. They're not around anymore. There's probably like a handful left where pretty famous bands like INXS, Silverchair, and I hate to put them in an Australian basket, ACTC, a lot of people will hate me for that. Those guys are Scottish, man. Come on, they're Scottish. Anyway, a lot of those places aren't around anymore, so yeah, Kind of sucks, but anyway, it's pretty cool. We still got the album. We still got some great history. Duncan Maguire, unfortunately, he passed away in 1989. He had a brain tumor. So, yeah, rest in peace, Duncan Maguire. Thank you for the great production on this record. Now, to the record. I really, really like this record. It's really, really good for their first attempt. For any band's first attempt, it's really, really tight. I have to give credit to their drummer. I think the drummer's name's John Farris, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, the drummer. He was young at the time of this recording of this album. He might have been like 19, 18, something like that, but his drumming was absolutely impeccable, and I believe that's actually somewhat key to INXS's success as a band, is that he is an underrated and, in my opinion, world-class drummer. He doesn't usually get talked about when you talk about the greats in terms of drumming, when he really should. He came up with things that were absolutely insane, beats that were absolutely insane. Sometimes you would think like, oh, are they playing to a drum machine? No, they're playing to a human that's just that tight. So yeah, he was always absolutely amazing, and his drum performances on this album are very, very good. Some of the songs are a bit sloppy, I guess you could say. It's got a very, very pub rocky vibe, so I wouldn't say sloppy after saying how tight it was, but I'd say it's a bit, you can feel like a bit of swing to the record. It pushes and it pulls, it pulsates, it's not quantized. And you can feel that in almost every single song. It's a very, very upbeat record. You've got songs like, I'll pull up the track listing right here. You've got songs like On a Bus, Doctor, Jumping, Roller Skating. They're all amazing songs that are very, very danceable, and you can picture yourself actually sitting in a pub and in like the late 70s or early 80s listening to this at the bar. You can picture the music traveling across all the heads in the crowd to you in the bar in the back when you put this record on. It has that sort of feel, and it captures that sort of vibe in the song composition for all the songs, and yeah, just their energy and their feel. It's got a bit of new wave synthiness to it, which I love because it's not too heavy on it. And it's very, very raw sounding. It's not overproduced. The whole record seems very, very raw sounded. There's no gated snares. It's very, very dry drums, like 70s top 40 drums. Synths, basically like raw synths. And raw vocals with a bit of like EQ and some reverb, basically, and that makes up this whole record production-wise, but it's mixed really, really, really well. So that's what I can say about the production. The production is really, really good. The sequencing of the record is also really, really well put together. I'd say side A is stronger than side B. That's generally the case with these sorts of records. And you've got the singles, or should I say single, Just Keep Walking, is a very, very pulsing, sort of trudging sort of song. It starts off basically on a 4-on-the-floor sort of thing, and the melody, it coincides perfectly when Michael Hutchence comes in with his counter melody. Green fields, grass and earth, broken bottles, bricks and dirt. I forgot the rest of the lyrics, but it contrasts absolutely amazing, and surprisingly for their first single, I would say it goes pretty well. I understand why it made it on radio. It's catchy, it gets stuck in your head pretty easy, and I'm sure it's a term that people started saying, just keep walking, after that song was released, or maybe it was a common term around then. I don't know. I'm a bit too young to be talking about that sort of time, but anyway. This is an amazing record. It's not too long. It goes for about off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure 33 minutes. So it's not the longest record. It's not the longest thing to sit through. And there aren't really too many annoying songs on the record. I'd say it's a pretty good time to listen to. It's a good time the whole way through. So it's a pretty strong first outing by the band. You can sort of see where they're going to be heading in terms of what kind of band they will be. It's there, it's literally the genesis of it. Tightening up a few of the songs and a bit of the songwriting, you can see it would be a better album, but again, like for a first outing, it's absolutely great. I forgot to give Return of the Dream Canteen a rating last video, so I'm going to give this one a rating. Remember, we're doing ratings out of 10. Now, in terms of INXS's discography, you have to take this back into account as well when we're doing this rating. In terms of this album, compared to the rest of their discography, I would probably give it a 4 out of 10 because there are much, much better albums than this, and we will be talking about them very, very soon. If you're wondering about my Dream Canteen rating, I was going to give that maybe a 7 out of 10. So at least I covered that. Covered that in this video. But yeah, that covers this record. INXS's first album, their self-titled debut, called INXS, Inaccessible. Yeah, it's an amazing record. Wouldn't say it's groundbreaking, but it's a fun record to listen to. So yeah, go and pick it up on cassette at a store near you. I don't know what kind of store still sells cassettes. Don't ask me where I get mine from. I'll have to kill you. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll be talking to you very soon with our next review. Peace.